get down to the nitty-gritty. It's Rainbow Six Siege time, folks. Black Dragons has the first ban here on Clubhouse. They're going to get rid of Habana. Let's see what Soniqs want to do before we actually get into this one.
Well, making perfect sense is obviously the more straightforward operator, especially to knock out the top-down hatches, so it makes basement attacks a little bit more simplistic. Very much the same thing in Ying in terms of her usefulness for attacking areas like the basement, on top of some other claustrophobic areas on the map, like cache upstairs as well. Everything making sense so far. We get over towards this one, however, and once again, things are going to be quite interesting, but it makes sense when you consider the map that we are on. Bandit getting knocked out. We've seen a massive increase to Bandit's play as of late. Tricking is back in session, so we don't want to deal with that on this map. He has been knocked out, and Azami as well. Still too universally useful for any player that is able to get her, so we're still oftentimes seeing her get banned out on the defensive side.
Indeed. Ban's making quite a bit of sense when it comes down to it, especially with this Bandit here. I know it looks a little awkward, but Bandit tricking has been a thing that's been bubbling up here at this event and making things a little bit more complex when it comes to getting these walls, which is hilarious because it's something that for a little while there kind of worked its way out of the meta, didn't it?
I think like every site except for Bar has a Bandit trickable wall at this point as well you could play into.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, the biggest one, the most difficult one really to pull off has got to be upstairs when it comes to our defensive garage and things like that.
You can do it.
Yeah, in the main wall when it comes to CCTV, right? But you can do it. The big thing is that there's soft destruction under you and there's a window directly behind you which can just eat grenades. So you really got to be worried about that. That's the wall that Perez is on right now. So we'll see what can be done by Black Dragons as they'll start actually down low. Just lots of reinforcements going up upstairs as this is going to be a makeshift SSG roam.
Nothing too surprising in terms of the operator picks. Of course, Grix are over on the Nooks. People maybe gazing some eyes at that, but as we've seen over the past few months, Nook has worked her way into the meta quite proficiently, and we are seeing her used quite often for that kind of lone solo insertion. We're going to go away from the game real quick here, ladies and gentlemen, as we do have to rehost, unfortunately. But we'll be... Okay, never mind. I lied. We're going back into the game. We'll be keeping...
Well, why would you do that? Come on, man. I got a fun stat for you about Nook, actually, as well here. Nook and Azami are the most banned offender and defender here. Nook has been banned 13 times, and Azami has been banned 21 times so far.
Yep, absolutely the case. These are the two very powerful operators we've been seeing get played out here. Just a nice little sneak tap into the barricade to be able to get a quick insertion into Freezer. Do they expect it? No, they don't, but still, we're going to see a beautiful hold come out here from Nade to be able to knock out Rexon, and Black Dragons will get the first kill of the match.
I love the follow-up here from Grixer, though. Chance for him to try and work this one out, but it's all going to be on the timing. I don't know if the AK player will want to try and pick up this angle. The logic bomb, it works beautifully. Grixer, he snuck in, and he's going to keep it moving. They know that it's a roam, and they know they can try and push into Church. But Black Dragons, they dealt so much damage to Soniqs. It's down to the two members you see on your screen. It's a 2 versus 4. But Seto pushes up onto Kool-Aid, and he'll take down Grixer. Sends the rotation over. Trying to play off of Black Box will be Geo, but done and dusted. What a fast first round between these two.
Yeah, very quick from the Soniqs there, as they waste no time sending 2 of their players directly down main stairs. Never really got to see where the remaining 3 players were attempting to push from. My bet would be them trying to go for some form of blue control and then work their way down from there to really pinch out the site in a surprising fashion for the Black Dragons, but just never really saw the other side of that pinch come to fruition, unfortunately. While we saw the main stairs team have great success, though, in fact, nearly able to negotiate a plant for themselves, while the rest of their team unfortunately died trying to clear out the first floor.
Grix are getting a lot done there for the Soniqs, but they just simply didn't have the bodies to really back it up, did they? Tried to push a little bit deeper there for Grixer, but really nobody there to try and rotate down main stairs. A nice shot here from Nade early on to set things into motion, set the tone here in round 1.
They continue to be set. So we do it deeper and deeper into the Soniqs, though, at least putting their best aggressive foot forward there to nearly negotiate a plant inside of the first round. As Stokes said, just didn't really have the bodies able to properly rotate to support that plant in time, so it fell to pieces. Once the Black Dragons realized what exactly was going on, they moved right along to their second site. Choice of fortune was going to be upstairs here in Cache. No surprises as of yet in terms of those site selections, but we'll follow that along as we get deeper and deeper, see if anyone wants to go wild with a bar pick, as we are tending to see that more and more in other regions, especially outside of the North American teams. Once again, It's not going to be very surprising in terms of the operator selects here. We are going to see mainly, once again, utility mitigation alongside a pretty actually decent spread of forms of utility coming out from the Black Dragon. Soniqs as well, bringing a surprising few pieces there. The IQ for Grixer more than anything to try and spot things out as they get closer towards the site, alongside quite a bit of hard breach to be able to make sure they can work their way into the openings of this site.
A classic garage offense here from the Soniqs, and really for everybody when it comes to Clubhouse, am I right? You really have to focus on this portion of the map when it comes to taking CCTV. If you don't have garage, there's a big risk that when you go for that plant, you're going to die. So they're really going to have to worry about Paris and what he is doing with that warden inside of garage. It's going to be reinforced with discs from the Wamai, as well as the reinforcements down low that we saw getting popped by the Selma charges earlier. The Soniqs making an angle for that window that you see to the northern side of your screen, as well as a rotation, so they can try and work their way into the bottom of garage and try and run amok of Paris' position. Grixer is going to be on the opposite window here for CCTV. The west side, he's going to hold the rotation for this door here, actually the opposite door of Bisetso. Into Cash, as Bisetso is going to be holding things down for the breach. Kansan will end up working things out with Paris. So that means that the Soniqs now have garage control, but what will they do with it?
Let's wait and find out here. Black Dragon's putting a bit of respect on it as we're actually being forced to rotate back out. Of course, Toxi now having control of the lower portion of garage, still having that aggressive angle to swing out towards, but really can't justify the actual play forward here. He ends up going down oil. He's going to be trying to rotate further away from this, probably going all the way back around towards main stairs. Ends up popping back up towards blue at the end of the day here, but not making much of a difference at the moment with all that positioning. Still seeing the Soniqs slowly but surely clear things out here as they inch closer to the site. Nice nade going back in. It is going to flush two more players from the Black Dragons out of coverage, and wow, what a shutdown there from the Soniqs to make up for the lost round back on round number 1.
Fantastic from Soniqs here, using their advantages to the fullest and recreating things once they do get them. Get those drones back in there, start to take portions of the map that Black Dragons have lost, all in time for the Soniqs. 1-1 here after that beautiful offense. It's going to be Jim Bedroom, and I'd feel the same way, Black Dragons, after Soniqs dismantled my defense.
Yeah, unfortunately, Black Dragons trying to back up, trying to give the Soniqs as much room as possible while still allowing them to play into it, but they were pushed up against the wall at the end of the day, gave up almost too much room away, and as a result of that, Soniqs were allowed to have their way with the execute against BD and shut them down. BD just long for a response inside of that round, never really seeing it come to fruition at any real point, despite their attempts to reposition even a few players, such as the one playing on the inside of Garage, but did not work at the end of the day. The Soniqs take a flawless round there. Decisive one at that now as we shift over towards Gym and Bedroom, and we once again see a pretty dramatic operator shift showing up mainly for the Black Dragons here as they're going to bring the Frost Mats out, be playing into a little bit more of a claustrophobic part of the map, so these can hopefully slip up a few of the players on the Soniqs, while the Cade Barricades or the Cade Electric Laws coming back out as well to try and slow down the clear from Jacuzzi side.
Yeah, this was a certified hood classic, isn't it? Especially with that Frost working its way in there. It's what we expect when you see a Gym Bedroom defense, and something that the Soniqs should suspect. Watch those ankles, boys, as you get in there. Might need some tape form after round 3. Soniqs will be out the gates and already sending shots downrange. It's a good thing that Paris can handle that wall from downrange as well. So we'll toss an Electro Claw and lock up Jacuzzi.
Slow start this time once again from the Soniqs. BD will be a little bit more well secured, a bit more of a bunker position to play from on the inside of the bedroom here. But unfortunately, it is just that, a bunker with no real way for them to get support from the outside of it here. So we'll have to make sure this Kansan here is
Landhammer.
Yep, Landhammer, a little bit of problem there. Still getting used to it.
You can't say that about the NA reps. You can't do that. We have Land. We have Land.
We've been off for like a good month now, right? So
yeah, that's fair. But also Kansan really trying to avoid a nitro cell there. That's the reality of the situation, to be fair. But yeah, Landhammer really is a thing. The Sledgehammer just works a little bit differently.
I was wondering what we're referring to there. It's just basically players getting used to zero ping. Some of the gadgets respond a little bit differently here on the LAN client. So the hammer is the kind of most obvious example of that, where you kind of want to lean into your swing there when you're opening up those hatches, like Stokes said, to avoid getting nitroed or getting your head popped off with some unfortunate positioning. So some players, we see just a little bit of a blunder every once in a while like that. Not going to cost the Soniqs and any huge departure here. Just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that while we're still in the lull of the action. Waiting to see what Soniqs' first real move is going to be, and we're going to get it here. Kansan through the floorboards, knocking one out here. Should be able to bank the nade, no problem, and indeed get the finisher off onto Bisetso.
Well, if there was one character in that entire lineup you could pick to take out John for free, it'd probably be the Smoke, wouldn't it? As he's got all that utility to try and slow down Soniqs' take. take, and they've done such a good job here. Look, jacuzzi wall already open. They're working things from all separate angles, making sure to spread the defense thin, making them track so many different things. You can see through the silhouettes that some of the Black Dragons players, they're facing east because of that breach that we have over on construction side. You don't know where the Soniqs are going to be. There's 5 of them around the map.
Ion potentially ready to take the duel against the Repel back on Jacuzzi, but not finding the angle necessary for it. Just wants to try and scare that player away, slow down the state of play. Soniqs are starting to get a little bit low on time, but with the kills they're finding, still on pace in my opinion. 2 more showing up here for both Grixer and Kansan. Rexen adds one as well. Could be a second flawless in a row here. Patoxi is going to be able to find, so far, the only response that we've seen from Black Dragons. Not going to be able to stop this plant from going down, though. He's a little bit too worried about a potential wrap to come over towards the construction window and shut him down outright. He still wants to play this clutch out from the 1v5 and is waiting out into the corner. Now let's see if there's going to be any more aggression. Not going to get that, so he should be free in just a second here to make his play towards Logi. Also giving his team a little bit more time to give post-round comms there as well before he finally makes his play. But it is once again a near flawless round for the Soniqs.
Absolutely gorgeous stuff from the Soniqs in the last 2 rounds. Black Dragons pick up 1, and then back-to-back practically flawless rounds. Black Dragons only able to muster a singular frag when 10 are available. Quite the odds there for the Soniqs. Not going to have a timeout or anything from the Black Dragons just yet. They're only down 1 round, so still a lot of time in this one. So we'll see how they can try and right their wrongs from what we saw on these last couple of defenses. It's really been Black Dragons awaiting the Soniqs' arrival. We really haven't seen them try to do anything out of the box, unorthodox, something to catch the Soniqs off guard. Minus the first round where Nade ended up holding the hallway for Kitchen. These last 2 rounds, it's been really stuck to their guns on their defensive setup. They've been really close to sight, just trying to batter the Soniqs away. But we're seeing how that's going, John. The Soniqs are doing a very good job of working the outside of the building, working a lot of these windows, and picking Black Dragons apart.
Soniqs more likely going to play things a lot slower on this round too. Doubt we'll see the straightforward, almost rush play we got from Soniqs out of round number 1 here. As, once again, the Jackal pick kind of reinforces my point on that as well, them wanting to maybe suss out some of the positioning from the Black Dragons before fully committing to the inside.
I respect the Soniqs for remembering the scar, right? They remembered what happened in the first round. They're bringing that into this round. They're going to bring the Buck. They're going to bring the Ace and make sure these hatches get open. And then you also have Rexen coming in with the Jackal because there was such a roam game to their first round here. But this time, not the same case. Black Dragons are going to be holding mostly downstairs. In fact, we only really see 1 roamer over around the main stairs area. That's where we saw Nade the last time, and wouldn't you know it, he's at the middle ground of the building again.
So we are going to see Kansan make his first initial entry, working himself over to the inside of Logi first and then clearing out the rest of the second floor. Not going to see any huge extension here from BD, so he's all clear to start. And it looks like that'll be the case for most of the first floor as well. No aggression roaming back out for the Black Dragons here. With Kansan opening up these hatches, just way too dangerous to maintain those positions, except for a little bit of a peek that we're getting from Nade once again over here, kind of playing Guardian to that kitchen hall for the most part.
Also, the start to Kansan's best game here at LAN thus far, 6-1 at the current moment through 3 rounds. Bang up job from him. We'll see if he can continue on this ride. Gunner's going to be popping open things inside of kitchen, playing up on top of the cabinet tree. Got to play in the kitchen counter, folks. I know your parents told you to get off as a kid, but it's a good idea for Gunner here. It's either that or risk losing your life to an explosive device from underneath. They're going to open up things for Mud Tunnel here, Dirt Tunnel, whatever you want to call it. Paceto will be on the receiving end of this, but again, that's just another annex for the Soniqs to abuse and spread the Black Dragons out. They want them to think that they can come from everywhere. They want them to see the enigma that the Soniqs can be at certain moments.
Black Dragons playing a very blue-sided defense right now here. They know the Soniqs are going to try to work that kitchen play, and they want to meet it directly from the other end of the site. Once more, though, we've already seen them kind of backing away, giving a little bit more of ranged respect to the Soniqs in a few previous rounds. And the Soniqs have been more than happy to take that little bit of an edge as it gives them, once again, that freedom to leap in, that freedom to potentially execute against the Black Dragons. Works a little bit differently on this side, of course, because they still need to make the actual drop down to the basement floor. But if they can establish those positions, they are going to be opening up a can of worms to potentially allow the Soniqs right in to start their own execute.
Kansan going in. A lot of aim labs recently, apparently, as he hits all of his dots. That's 100% accuracy if I've ever seen it. Rexen smacks Paris. Patoxi will get Rexen, though. No blue control, and what a shot from Nade. Ion's gonna go down Kansan, a blast to the chest, but he eats it like chips as he walks into church. hold on to this. He's going to start the plant. A one-man army. He can do it all himself. He's got the support from Moto. Nitro sell out, but it's missed time. Patoxy, he can't get it done. It's a 2 versus 3 now. Make it a 2 versus 1 as it's up to Bizzetto with his SMG-11 in hand. Has to try and use this at range. Using the dots to his advantage. He knows someone's more than likely inside of Moto. He'll toss out a smoke. He's got Ion to his right, but he's also dead to rights as the Soniqs finally get it done on the basement.
Smoke on the final peak comes back to haunt him, unfortunately. I think it obscures his vision a little bit too much. He's not able to spot the player in the back of Moto because of the coverage. And as a result, the Soniqs once again shut down another attack. That's 3 in a row now from them after blundering a little bit with a straightforward push on the first round. And now that's going to force a Black Dragons timeout.
Yeah, Black Dragons timeout, and that's what I was curious about. Are you going to use your timeout now and try and fix your defenses, or are you going to wait, see what happens on offense? Personally, I think the Soniqs are getting away with way too much right now. The Black Dragons are, again, a stick in the mud. They're just not really moving around, not really trying to counter out what the Soniqs are doing. We're seeing a lot of active play from them. Kansan very confident right now, and he damn well should be, right?
Yeah, a bit of a panic mode, I think, being hit here for the Black Dragons. Maybe wanting to wait and see how that basement round will play. It'll be like, okay, if we at least have this one site to fall back on, we can guarantee a 2-4 half. Maybe we can do what you were saying and just wait things out on the attacking side, see if we get a few bad rounds there, then call for the timeout. Things get really dire. But now allowing them to come back to it and seeing them once again win it in very one-sided fashion. They absolutely needed the call for the timeout here, as it's very, very possible the Soniqs are able to run a 5-1 with the way things are going at the moment.
Mr. Mullen, I have a question. What happens when you don't do anything that you did in the previous round that won you the round on the same site? You're probably not going to win it, are you?
Yeah.
They didn't commit anything upstairs, and it made it to where the Soniqs could clear things out and use that timing to their advantage for the site. And that's the biggest thing. Black Dragons backed off the pressure from the Soniqs, and ever since then, ever since they let their foot off the gas, it has not been the same game.
Which is also like just from a regional perspective, very strange to see from a Latin American team, because usually it's the direct opposite. Usually it's a complete lack of respect, always getting in your faces, always trying to mess with the players on the other side. But we're actually seeing a pretty conservative Black Dragons being played out right now, as they do not want to challenge things, whether it's the nature of the map and kind of the way things play out there, where you generally can kind of peel back your defenders and play into the geometry around the site, or just the preferential play style of this team. At the moment, unfortunately, it is not working, so we have to see how they're going to try and change this now after the pause.
Very interesting here. No Oryx working its way in. I was interested to see if there was going to be with that hatch there, but no, it's just a drop out for construction. The big thing here is that hatch can be abused from the outside balcony. It faces that side, so always have to worry about that. But for Black Dragons, they're going to go back to what we saw previously. This is probably what they talked about on that timeout. We need to open up our playbook and start pulling out some of our own aces in the hole to try and take it to the Soniqs, deal some damage to them, make them respect our game. And so far, so good. They've at least dealt some damage to Kansan. He's aware that the Black Dragons are around, but ooh, heat seeker from underneath, man. Hey, the Cubs need a pitcher, Kansan.
We're going to see the players of the Sonic continue to open things up here. The side construction wall, the back entrance to construction, if you will, being popped open right now. Perez as well here going to try and stop the opening of the garage panels. One more than likely just being breached a second ago regardless there. I think he's just a little bit too late to throw the electric claw down. We'll get a better picture of what those panels look like in a second. And more importantly, how the Soniqs are going to actually try and use those. As, yeah, we do actually see that full first Selma go down, of course, on the other garage panel, but he interrupts the second opening of the second panel.
Which is a little crappy. That's a favorable panel to try and rotate through, and obviously the other Selma too high there, so it does complicate things a little bit. Black Dragons doing a solid job of delaying here about halfway through this round, so really looking to try and get some extra time, especially for Paris here inside of Garage. If he can delay down under that minute timer and maybe get some help from Batoxy here, they could get some frags and really start to open things up for Black Dragons, but we've seen how lethal Kansan is. 9-1. This man cannot miss at the current moment, but it's going to be Grixer that strikes first. He's got one, potentially two, if they keep flirting with death here. It's going to be Ion that takes down Gunner, but Bizzetto's going to, oh my, Geo, off the rappel. What an insane round from the Soniqs.
I appreciate the response we saw there from the Black Dragons coming off of the pause, but again, just nowhere near enough fragging prowess inside of these rounds. They're trying to play it even further back now, almost doubling down on the kind of passive defense they're trying to throw out, but trying to play even further into their utility, which did work to delay things we were seeing over there towards Garage, not being able to get that second Selma open, slowed down the Soniqs a little bit, but that's all it did at the end of the day. The Soniqs, when they were in position, ready to go, executed the large majority of the Black Dragons roster, as we've been seeing for the previous 3 rounds.
When the Soniqs strike, they cut deep. That's that's the big issue. So Black Dragons have to respect it. You know, if you try and put somebody else up on the chopping block and they lose their life, you're even farther down in the hole than you already were. So it's just a really unfortunate circumstance here for Black Dragons, and an even more unfortunate one is they can't get the round after the timeout, and that is decimating to the mental.
Bandit Bet actually seems like it's sped up the Sonics' ability to get into these sites quite a bit as well, because obviously even though we have the electric claws, Sonics are still able to open up the key areas that would normally be blocked off by a Bandit battery, such as that main balcony working its way into cache, the back entrance to construction as well, that's constantly forcing Black Dragons to really spread out and have to watch 7, 8 different angles at once, not really knowing where exactly the Sonics are going to come from. They've had a bit of a predictable playstyle in terms of how they've been executing, but the Black Dragons can't necessarily rely on that because of how quickly they've been able to shut these rounds down. So it's creating a very, very tough scenario now for BD in this half.
All right, looks like Ion's going to be switching things over to the Mozzie, the Mute Mozzie here with Patoxy bringing that other part. Going to have a roam game. As we were talking about previously, this was the only round that the Black Dragons were able to muster. Gunner going to be popping things open up top. Do they have the Jackal this time around? They do. It's going to be on Rexen, actually. So we'll see if the Inox can assist them in clearing this top floor.
It's more of a slow start to things here, but we already are seeing damage echo through from the Sonics as at least one member of Black Dragons, Patoxy, ends up getting crossed out here. We'll lose about half of his HP as a result of that. A shot coming in from a top-down angle. Already seen Kitchen Hatch be opened there as well by the Sonics, I do believe, as they're beginning to work their way towards the inside of this one, and will set themselves up for another quick clear of the basement if they're allowed to work towards it. Second floor is the priority right now. As you can see, we do have a little bit of presence up here from the Black Dragons. One player roaming around in construction that they've just been able to suss out for themselves. Ion is going to realize that and try to back away, but man, you need team support in these scenarios here. Black Dragons cannot afford to play on their own. The Sonics' roam clear has been second to none in this game. A lone roamer is just not going to work in this situation here. So the Sonics excel yet again in the early round by knocking out 2 players.
I'm now firmly convinced that the Sonics aren't real, and it's actually a hive mind. They're all controlled by one being, and his name is Super. He's currently sitting in America right now, laughing straight to the bank with this game. Halfway through this round, 2 people dead in the Black Dragons. The entirety of their roam game taken care of. Blue Ion out of the water right here inside of Master as well. Sonics, they're all on the same page, John. They're working every single angle possible, shutting down the exits of these roamers, and that's what you need. You need that hammer and anvil strategy when it comes to a roam clear like this.
Continuing to wait to see if we'll get a heroic moment out of anybody from the Black Dragons to try and save this round here. Patoxy.
Save this game.
Yeah, really. Paceto as well as Nate are all that remains. Currently looking at 9 kills total for the entirety of the Black Dragons roster here as well, meaning that, at least for Kansas, he's completely outpacing the enemy team here. Never a good stat line, but an important one to show just how dire this game is becoming here. As we now see Grixer make his way to the bottom of the main stairs, we'll meet a little bit more resistance here, so he'll hold up for just a few moments. Keep in mind, too, Sonics did need to use quite a bit of their time clock to be able to clear things out on the upstairs portion of the map, but we have seen them, once again, work these low-timed executions.
Oh, that was so close on the cooking phase there for that frag grenade. Moments away from death. The Sonics, I think they're moments away from another flawless here. This half, it's been disgusting. 2 flawless rounds. One of those flawless rounds right next to a round that was almost again flawless as well, as they only dropped 1 death in the entirety of that one. So practically 3 if you really want to look at it that way. Sonics, what a disgusting offense. Everybody on this roster doing the most right now. And I mean, you can just talk about the Sonics offense ad nauseum here, especially from the fragging area. But what we really have to talk about is Geo. Geo is doing all the heavy lifting when it comes to utility, droning, everything else in between, and you really have to highlight plays like that because that's why things are getting done in places like that upstairs clear, is all thanks to Geo's efforts. Although it's not on the scoreboard, you know, 2-2-0, he is doing so much for this squad at the current moment.
Once again, here's our playoff qualifying probability. Black Dragons are still in the race at this point, but losing out this game is going to hurt their chances quite a bit. As far as the Sonics are concerned, though, they are rocketing towards qualification at this point. 2 more rounds and they will lock in playoffs for themselves. No way they could be bumped out of first place if they win this game.
You like heavyweight bouts? Probably your favorite weight class when it comes to fighting.
I don't really have a weight class
heavyweights.
preference personally, but
I mean, mine's light heavyweight. I'm just saying. But the good news is we're about to have a heavyweight bout. It's because we have a Monty in play, and you know where that's going. It's going to go straight for Garage. They're going to try and take control of that and use Monty to bully their way up the stairwell. We saw this go back and forth quite a couple times throughout the last couple days here on Clubhouse, so we'll see how it works out this time around.
Two different players trying to establish pre-fired angles for the spawn run out there as well in the Sonics. Not going to meet anyone on BD, though. They come in from the other side of the map, so no surprises early on for BD to have to deal with here. Will be a very slow approach, more than likely, from BD because of the way this game has been going. They cannot make really any mistakes in this half, where the game is essentially over, so they need to double, if not triple, check all of their potential pushes before they actually are willing to commit to them. Sonics, of course, just kind of waiting this one out. No real reason for them to get hyper-aggressive, especially on a cash hold here. This is one of the sites you want to play directly into your extremities and never really need to extend beyond that. He's working their way out here, as well as the hard breach to quickly open things up on the main balcony.
Well, Black Dragons, the wall was quite easy, but that's because the Sonics wanted it to be. You can see the setup inside, prepared for this CCTV push. Like what we were talking about earlier, the Monty going to be focused on this garage position. There's no traps available to the Sonics, nothing like Legion or anything of the sort. It's really put a spanner in the works for Black Dragons here. The Sonics doing a solid job, at least of right now, of staying alive. They haven't given up the goods just yet, but it could be coming soon, especially for Rexon's position. Gonna have some throwables coming in now, which will be eaten up by his magnets. As the Monty's gonna push forward, Rexon's really gotta respect this shield slide. That's a big thing here, and that's a timing that he's playing. You can see him working his way back and forth. As soon as he doesn't pay attention to Monty for long enough, Basetto will attempt this, or at least wait out for one of his teammates. That's really the smart strategy here, but as you can see, flirting with death, the impact's out. He's actually gonna get rid of one of the ADSs here. Some nice shots. Oh, the case also on Monty here. If this goes wrong, this could be the Sonics round right here.
Vigorous being played out right now here. The swing is gonna miss, but he goes for some more body shots.
No!
Manages to knock him down, and he takes down the supporting player on the outside of Garage. We still have positioning just on the outside of the main balcony, but that doesn't really matter at this point. Full Garage control has been maintained by the Sonics. Here's someone that could potentially save it. The Prez working his way in, but Rexon cannot be stopped. That's a third kill now from him to shut out all of these attempts to reclaim case control. BD, what are you gonna do? That second player that was down never did get fully confirmed, so Nade technically still in the fight, but at very low HP, and he's definitely not gonna be challenging the door again because he walks right into a quad from Rexon.
I'm like a kid in a candy store watching these mechanics, John. He's finally gonna be stopped, but what a stand in Garage. Black Dragons, you have nothing. It's 6-1 in favor of NA's best.
The Catwalk Warrior showing up there to shut it all down and set the Sonics up on the map and match point here. Time to lock in the playoffs with just one more round, and there's not really a whole lot that can stop them with the way we've been seeing BD play.
This has been truly disgusting stuff, and kind of a big announcement for the rest of the teams here and what could potentially go on at main stage. Do you want to take the Sonics to Clubhouse? I don't know, do you?
But after this.
Hey, you know, it's gonna be a hard ask from a lot of teams, especially when you have cans and playing like this, 11-1. And I mean, we can just look across the board and just highlight all of these key fraggers here. Grixer and Rexon both getting their own. Grixer, it's been on a round-to-round basis. Rexon, what a powerhouse there in rafters of Garage.
There's an average of 2 deaths on this team right now, by the way.
Yeah,
overall.
I know. It's like I can't praise them enough. Like, I literally can't. I really thought this game was going to be a lot closer, but the Sonics have more than surpassed my expectations.
Certainly the case, and now just one lone round is all we need to see from the Black Dragons. Of course, already used their pause way back in the last half, so no relief will be showing up for them. They have to try and push this forward here. The pre-fire position set up in the early round yet again here, and we actually do see a few members of the Black Dragons align with it this time around here, but Rexon not going to be able to land those shots. The good news is no one from the Black Dragons lands theirs either.
Well, it looks like Black Dragons was really worried about some early peaks here, so already going to burn one of their EE1Ds. Working their way in towards Garage. They've got air jabs for Nade. I think he set it up on the balcony window up top. Lots of Sonic's presence on this mid floor over near bar at the time. Nade looking like he could potentially want to flirt with this. Does have the ARX, still a really solid rifle nowadays. Doesn't have the 1.5 when it comes to Yana, but it does when it comes to Nomad, which, as we all know, pretty favorable site of a lot of high-tier players and most definitely a lot of our pros.
Well, about a minute gone from the round, and we're seeing a much slower approach as usual here from the Black Dragons. With that said, though, Case Carrier has already worked their way through most of Dirt Tunnel, so he's going to establish a very forward position, one that I'm not necessarily certain if the Sonics are going to be expecting here. Micro EMP out as well to allow Ion to just rush his way through Blue to get to the inside and score a headshot in the meanwhile. Response does come in from Geo. Patoxi almost taken out by Geo also here. He's over onto the secondary shotgun pistol, but Basetto is going to be able to win it out instead there, taking him down instead. Basetto, though, not long for this world, as now Grixer goes for 2 on the cross, takes them both down. Grabs a third as well. Grixer going huge these past 2 rounds as he's picked up 7 already just between the last 2 plays. Everything now falls to Nade. It's winnable though inside of a 1v2, especially with time remaining in a minute and 20 seconds. Under normal circumstances, yes, but with the way the Sonics have been playing, it is certainly going to be near impossible. For you folks at home is probably the way you're thinking about this one. Let's see, though, if Nade can get the job done. We didn't see that, I believe, him going onto a drone first and going to self-drone his way forward. That's how much of a lack of intel the BD offense is playing with at this point.
Difficult position here for Nade. Kansan and Grixer, the best of the best when it comes to the Sonics in this game. 10-1 for Grixer, 11-1-3 for Kansan. They're going to be playing this out quite handedly. Quiet all across Clubhouse until Nade starts taking some steps in Blue. He's going to work his way towards AK. He really needs case control to try and give himself a snowball's chance in hell here. Has full HP, 3 stuns as well. Are they going to let this plant go down? Some pre-fires. Nade is going to stick it. What a man. Going to move. He'll be able to... Oh, and that's it. My goodness gracious. Soniqs, Grixer. What?
Like I was like, he's got it. He's gonna take a good chance here. Grixer the book was already open. He was like reading from this